Hola, me llamo Marcel, and today we'll be discussing the origin of the taco. Objectives in this presentation, viewers will learn where the taco came from, when and how it came into the United States, how they became mainstream in America, and we'll also take a brief look at the popularity of tacos today. So Mexico is the originators of the tacos. The earliest form of tacos can be traced back to 1700s in Mexico in the silver mines. Originally, the word taco was a reference to the charges or the paper around the charges that was used to clear out the ores where they were mining at. Tacos, as they're known today, wasn't really a thing until the early 1800s. At first, they were known as taco de miners, which meant miners' tacos. Originally, taquerias, which are in Spanish or in English, it translates to taco shops, only appeared in working class neighborhoods. Women brought with them their regional cooking skills. So every state, every region, every town had a slightly different taste, slightly different seasoning, and maybe a slightly different style of taco. We're going to discuss the taco migration. The first documentation of the tacos in the United States occurred in 1905 in Los Angeles, California. Mexican migration was coming into America. Mainly, it was in the railroad industries, the mining industries, and industries such as that require a little bit more of manual labor. Mexican food was seen as a street food or lower class food. And in the 1880s, tourists would visit San Antonio. They would see the Alamo. And there was also this curiosity in them to try this thing that was known as a taco. Most of the vendors were females, and they were overly sexualized. They were known as the chili queens. And it became like a thing to go to the Alamo, go get a taco, flirt with your vendor, because the vendors were seen as sexy, exotic, risky, and just really temptation. Okay, so we're going to discuss a little bit about the taco before it became Taco Bell. As the children of the immigrants started to advance economically, they fought in World War II, they gained their citizenship, the income as a whole for the Mexican American just began to really increase. They began to modify the traditional Mexican food. They would incorporate things that were a little bit cheaper and easier to get in America, such as hamburger meat, cheddar cheese, iceberg lettuce, tomatoes. They started putting that into the taco. Eventually, later on, Lebanese migrants began to come into America as well, and they brought with them a shawarma, or gyros as they're known today. It had a vertically rotisserie chicken thing. You can see there's a picture there to kind of give you a brief of what it looks like. On it, they would cook lamb. They would cook other kind of meat as well, but the most popular thing they would cook is lamb. And they have a little thing that they would slice it to put on a pita bread. Eventually, they started putting it on tortillas, and they would call it tacos arrebas, which also translates to Arab tacos. The second generation of these children changed the recipe just a little bit to start using pork instead of lamb. They started adding a little bit of pineapple. Got to type. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo Marcel Foster, and today we'll be discussing the origin of the beloved taco. So the objectives of this lesson, in this presentation, we're going to learn about the origin of the taco, when and how it came into the United States, when it had become popular and mainstream in America, as well. We're going to take a brief look at taco popularity today. So in the early stages, no one knew where the taco came from. It can be traced back to Mexico and the silver mines in the early 1700s. Originally, the word for taco was a reference to the paper that they would wrap the gunpowder in, where they would use to make the charges to clear out the ores where they were silver mining at. Tacos, as they're known today, wasn't really known and popular until about the 1800s. They were first known as taco de miner, which translates to miners' tacos. Originally, taquerias, which is taco shops, only appeared in working class neighborhoods. It was mainly women who made tacos and sold tacos, and they would bring their regional cooking skills from every state, every region, and every town to wherever it was that they were cooking their tacos. So every shop that you went to might have had a slightly different taste, slightly different season, maybe slightly simple different ingredients. Another key thing before we begin, back originally Mexico belonged to Spain, and tacos were looked at as peasant food by the Spaniards. So for Mexicans, it became a way to keep their independence of how they were before Spain conquered them. So we're going to discuss the taco migration. The first documentation of the tacos in the United States occurred in 1905 in Los Angeles, California. The Mexican immigrants were coming into America. Mainly, they were coming into railroad industry, mine industry, and other kind of industry or jobs that had a lot of manual labor that Americans just didn't want to do. Mexican food was seen mainly as street food or lower class food again. And really, in the 1980s was when tacos first started semi becoming popular in the United States. People would go to San Antonio to see the Alamo, which was a huge and still is a huge tourist attraction today. But they would hear about these things called tacos, and they would be curious to go try them out. Most of the vendors were female, and they were overly sexualized. They were known as the chili queens. And it was really a thing for people to come get this taco and flirt with the vendor. It was known as sexy, exotic, risky. It was just a huge tourist attraction at that time. As the children of the immigrants started to advance economically in America, after they fought in World War II, they were gaining citizenship, their income was rising. They began to make modifications to the taco. They would start incorporating food that's easier to get in America, like hamburger meat, cheddar cheese, iceberg lettuce, tomatoes, into the tacos. Later on, we had immigrants coming into America, and they brought with them a shawarma or a gyro, and it was like a huge vertically rotisserie cooked thing. You can kind of see in this picture, it'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. They would cook lamb, and they would put a little bit of lamb on the pita bread. Eventually, they started putting it on tortilla, and they would call it taco arabas, which translates to Arab tacos or Arab tacos. The second generation of the Lebanese children began to change the recipe just a little bit, and instead of using lamb, they would use pork. They also would add like little ingredients like pineapple, some cases lime, just little things to tweak the taste just a little bit. So eventually, the Taco Bell founder, Glenn Bell, used the knowledge that he gained from his Mexican neighbors to create Taco Bell. He didn't really create the taco, but he claimed to create the taco. But he just learned how to, or he took what he learned from his neighbors on making tacos and added like a franchise business model to it. Originally, he mapped out neighborhoods without taco shops, or he mapped out neighborhoods that had very few taco shops, which actually traditionally was only, or mainly neighborhoods that didn't have a huge Mexican community. In the Mexican neighborhoods, they did not call their restaurants taco shops. They called them taquerias. So he had a hard time mapping out originally. But eventually, he worked, and Taco Bell made a way for other racial and ethnic groups to sample Mexican food without necessarily having to visit Mexican neighborhoods, which at the time usually be in a high risk or a high crime area. The invention of the taco shell made fast food tacos possible. Glenn Bell would claim that he invented the taco shell in 1950, and it was known as his big, huge technological breakthrough. At least that's how he marketed it. However, Mexicans were cooking tacos way before that. They were just making them fresh. Like when you ordered, they made the shell and everything, the tortilla and everything was fresh. Glenn Bell had a pre-fried advanced system that he would use, and this made it so that he was able to serve tacos faster and making really the fast food taco shell. However, it has been traced that the taco shell was originally patented back by a Mexican restaurant owner in 1940s. Glenn Bell's discovery of the taco shell didn't come until the late 1950s. All right, in conclusion, we're just going to wrap it up. While making Mexican food in America has been successful, it has not worked necessarily in planting Taco Bells in Mexico. Usually, when a Taco Bell opened up in Mexico, it did not last longer than 3 weeks before it had to shut down. About 3 weeks before it had to shut down before they started going to the negative. I think there might still be, I couldn't find it in my sources, but there might still be 3 open Taco Bells in Mexico today, all of them which in heavily tourized areas where a lot of Americans would go. Even in the U.S., Taco Bell statistically do not do as well in areas where there are other authentic Mexican restaurants. Even here in Charleston, I couldn't tell you where Taco Bell is, but my favorite taco truck is known as Law Immigration. It's a taco truck on Ashley Phosphate in North Charleston. If you get a chance to check it out, it is amazing. Today, the best tacos are believed to come from authentic street vendors. Again, if you get a chance, go to North Charleston, try out that taco truck. It is amazing. The neighborhood's a little sketchy at night, but it's worth the risk. And these here are my sources. Thank you so much.